Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. I have got a cracking few recipes for you this morning. I've got my coffee, I've got my pan on, and we're ready to cook. Now today I wanted to share with you some tapas style recipes. I think they will make an amazing trio of dishes for dinner tonight maybe. Or you can just do one or whatever, but three cracking recipes. I've got Emily over here on the camera, so she's kind of cutting between them. And then I've got John who's sat over there as well, who's kind of watching how the edit all works. If there are any questions that he, as a chef, has, he's going to fire them over for me. Now, if you've got any questions at all, post them in the Facebook feed and I will answer them as best I can. If not, the team at Masterclass will as well. So, let's get on and cook. Now, this is a bit of a hybrid of two different dishes, patatas bravas and then chorizo in wine. So chorizo, Spanish sausage, absolutely love it. Amazing ingredient, is it not, John?
Absolutely love it, chef. Yeah.
Everyone loves chorizo, it's delicious. And then patatas bravas is just like potatoes cooked in a really lovely sort of smoky tomatoey sauce. I'm going to smash the two together and come up with this amazing dish. Now, first of all, I've got a pan of water, salted water, and then I've got a couple of potatoes. Now this is tapas, so 2 potatoes and the chorizo and everything else is going to play a part of 3 dishes, enough for 4 people to eat. So we're going to just cut them into little chunks. If you cut them into really big pieces, they'll take longer to cook, okay? But if you cut them into tiny pieces, they won't crisp up and go lovely and gnarly. So sort of small, I would cut a normal potato into at least 8, if not 10. And we're going to boil those for about 8 minutes, okay? And while we do that, we'll get the rest going. Tapas is a fantastic, Spanish-inspired, small plates it means. So it is a really, really nice social way of eating with the family. And then hopefully when we get out of lockdown, we can start having some friends for dinner again. So let's just leave that to boil. I've now got a pan on. I'm just going to turn my oven on as well.
Could you use new potatoes, Pete, if you don't have any normal potatoes?
Yeah, I wouldn't use, like, Jersey Royals are coming soon, aren't they? I wouldn't use those because they're too nice. You just want to taste a Jersey Royal potato. I think if you've got some leftover new potatoes, totally. You know, let them cool down, have them for dinner last night, bring them out, and then bring them into the recipe when my potatoes are cooked. So once we've got the chorizo going, we've got all the fats coming out, things like that. So let's have a little splash of olive oil in my pan first, just to get everything going, really. Okay, now chorizo. I've got a stick of chorizo here. I'm just going to peel the skin away because I don't think this will have enough time to render. So normally, if you were cooking it for a really long time, you could probably leave the skin on. But I'm going to just whip it off because it's easier. Okay, and then down the middle. So this chorizo is like full of paprika and salt, and some have got chili in. You get hot ones and you get sweet ones. So, and you can see all the natural fats and things like that. They're going to seep out and create some amazing flavour for the potatoes to suck up. So, cut the chorizo into chunks, like so. Okay, so chorizo, pan on. Now, I'm going to just add in the chorizo. Get that heat up, okay? It's important that your pan isn't too hot, because you need to bring the temperature up of the chorizo for the fats to give out. If it's too hot, it'll just scorch, it'll go quite bitter. Okay, so I'm also going to add a clove of garlic, and all I'm going to do is just smash it and release the flavour. So that is on its way. Check my potatoes, good. Got a little bit of parsley here as well. We'll use that to finish off. So do you want all these dishes at once, or should we do one at a time? So just bring the whole thing together? Yeah? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get this into the oven, we'll get it going, and then we can crack on with the next dish, and the next dish, and then everything will all come together beautifully. So, if I get a spoon as well, you'll see can you see this pan all right, Emily?
Yeah.
See the colour of the oil there?
Yeah.
That's what the chorizo's giving out the flavour. Okay, that's how you can see it's working. And actually, sort of the white fat is disappearing out of the sausage now and into the oil, which we'll roast the potatoes in. And then we'll bring it all together with some beautiful red wine. It's a good dish, this, my favourite. Okay, so I'm going to basically take my potatoes. They've cooked enough for me. In fact, I'm just going to grab my jug. I've got a colander in there, so I'm just going to pour these out. Put those to one side. Now, if you remember last week when we made Marmite roast potatoes, what was really important was getting the steam out of your potatoes so that they fluff up and go really, really nice. So, I've got colander inside this jug here. Get rid of the water. We're going to ruffle them up a little bit. And just give them a minute to get rid of all the steam. Okay? It's these little tips that make your food go from there to there. And it's all about just lots of little pieces of detail brought together to make an amazing dish. So you can see, can you see the edges are starting to fluff up a bit there, Emily?
Show that camera.
This one there, can you see that?
Tip it a little bit more. Yeah.
So we've lost the moisture and now we've just got some potatoes. And then we're going to add them in. And then you will see the spuds, or potato spuds I would call them, from being from Yorkshire originally. You can see the oil now. Look at those. They are going to be delicious. They are serious potatoes now. Okay, so let's let that cook for a little bit before we add the wine, and then I'm going to sling it in the oven for 20 minutes and then it's all done. The red wine will soak into the chorizo, into the potatoes, and that can only be a good thing, can't it? So, leave that to one side and let that cook. And then we'll turn our attention to the tortilla, okay? So we're going to make our tortilla next, and it's done in 2 stages. Now the traditional tortilla is just really beautiful, slow cooked onions and potato, wrapped up in like an omelette, baked so it's quite firm, and then we're going to serve it with a smoky aioli, which is a garlic mayonnaise, on the top, because I had this in an amazing tapas restaurant in London, absolutely loved it, and then a really fresh little tomato salad dressed in sherry vinegar and olive oil. It'll be delicious. It's simple, but done well, it's beautiful. Really, really good. So, let's start with the onion first. So, I've got my pan on a medium heat, and now I'm going to add salt to my pan first, because I want the onions to sit on the salt, and the salt will draw the water out of the onions, and it means they'll caramelize really nicely. Okay? So, slice really thin. Turn your fingers in, so it's not like that, because that means you run the risk of cutting your finger. You curl them up in like a claw motion and just push your knife through. Okay? Take time and get them as thin as possible.
Can you use the red onion for this?
Yes, of course you can. Use a red onion. Traditionally they're white onions with this, but red will be fine. White onions are stronger. Red onions are sort of sweeter, so they kind of take less cooking. I like red onions. I use red onions a lot, but this is a more of a traditional sort of recipe that I'm trying to do. So sliced up, nice and thin. There we go. Right, let's get these onions, just break them up, okay? Because we want them to cook nice and evenly. Alright? You can hear that sizzle, that is what we want to hear. And we're going to spread them out. There we go. And let them cook and caramelize while we do some other stuff. Okay? Right, so just wipe that board down. I'm going to flip it over so it doesn't taste of onions. Because we've all done that, haven't we, John?
Absolutely.
And you know it when you've done it.
Yeah, you know when you've done it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to make our garlic aioli as well. So what we need is a bowl. We're just going to take some good quality mayonnaise. This is so simple. It's embarrassingly simple, really. There's just nothing to it. But often those recipes are the best ones. A little bit of smoked paprika, and I always think smoked is so, I don't know about you, but smoked paprika is so much more flavour, because I want a nice sort of smoky, garlicky mayonnaise. And then we're just going to grab our plain. Now, I actually think it's better with a plain for this, because what you don't want is like garlic chips in there. You don't want like pieces of garlic. So just play it on there and just pop it on. I mean, if you haven't got plain, use a box grater on the really fine setting is absolutely okay with me. But if you're going to chop it, spend time chopping it, or put some salt on and really crush it and grind it to a paste. Okay? There we go. And then I'm just going to add a tiny little extra bit of red wine vinegar, sorry, sherry vinegar this one, just to give it a little bit more tang, but literally half a teaspoon. Just to give it that little bit of oomph.
Yeah.
And the richness of this is delicious with the tomatoes. It's a really nice accompaniment. I never would have thought to do it, but once I tried it, I was just converted. So we'll put that to one side. And we might as well make our tomato salad as well. Okay, so little sherry vinegar, because we're doing Spanish. And sherry vinegar is what they have in Spain more than anything else. Twice as much olive oil. Pinch of salt. Pinch of black pepper. And that is a nice Spanish style base dressing. I'm going to put a little bit of chopped parsley in there as well. And then just take the tomatoes and cut them into quarters. Okay? Straight into the dressing. Don't need to mix that dressing yet. Just whack it straight in and we'll bring everything together at the end. Let me just bring you back to the chorizo patatas bravas. But look at the potatoes now. They're now starting to take on that lovely flavour. Okay, you can see them roasting up. Alright, I'm going to swap the onions over there because I'm going to add the red wine. So let's crank the heat up. Okay. Now, I was going to go for Rioja, but I actually prefer Malbec. So I always think cook with what you're going to drink. We enjoy this Malbec. So this is what we're cooking with today. It's a really gutsy, bold, eating red wine for me. So get the temperature up, and we want a couple of glasses of red wine in there. Do not tell my wife I've just put that much wine in a recipe. Okay? So now our potatoes are no longer roasting. They are now poaching in red wine, which is John's favourite way to be.
Absolutely.
Alright, so let's bring that up to the boil. Let me just show you the onions. They're just starting to come down now. Okay, so all my tomatoes sliced up, just pop those straight into the oil and the vinegar and leave them. Put them to one side. We don't need to do anything else until later. Just clear this. There we go. Right, they'll clear down. Tidy kitchen, tidy mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Clear as you go.
Yes, right, so if we just cut to this, Emily, you can see the red wine and absorbing the potatoes now. The idea is to just reduce that down now to almost, not quite a syrup, but really probably reduce it down by at least 50% so that we intensify the flavour. We've given the potatoes enough moisture to sort of simmer and poach, and everything is just marrying together, because that dish is designed to eat and then mop up with bread, and that's only a good thing, isn't it? They're making good noises over there. Right, so let's turn our attentions back to the onions. Now you can see I haven't stirred these at all. They've just cooked nice and slowly, and they've started to take on that lovely caramelised brown colour. The salt has drawn out the water and allowed the natural sugars to caramelise. So let me just pop that onto that heat there. Yeah, that's boiling. Yeah, that's good. Right. So, I'm just going to bring this tortilla together. Now, I've got a cooked jacket potato here. Just pop it in the microwave, 5 minutes, give it a blast, and then you've got a really delicious textured potato as well. If you've got any leftover potatoes, use those. The Spanish use them a lot in tapas. A lot of leftovers, I think, end up in tapas dishes because, you know, leftovers often make the best dishes. They really do. And having the sort of creative solutions in the kitchen to use up the fridge content is a great thing. We should always use up our leftovers. Nothing worse than just sort of food waste. So, we're just going to slice them into sort of 1/2 centimetre pieces. Okay. There we go, put those to one side. Now, eggs. We're going to go 3 eggs to make this tortilla. I am going to add a pinch of black pepper in there, pinch of salt, not a lot because we've got salt in the onions. And I'm going to add a cheeky bit of smoked paprika because I think it'll just make it lovely, but you don't have to. And then all I'm going to do is whisk this with a fork a little bit. I'm not going to like beat the life out of it. Just mix it up. That's enough. Okay? No more. So, I have a little pan somewhere. Yes. Okay. So I've got a little non-stick pan here, which is the perfect size for a tortilla, Spanish omelette, whatever you want to call it. Really, really good. Onions have done their bit. Swap that pan over now. Pop that onto there. I'm going to add a drizzle of olive oil to the bottom of my pan. Okay, let's get the heat up. And now, the idea is to pour the egg in and then add the ingredients layered up so that it all kind of covers up and bakes as a really beautiful tortilla. Right, so let's pour our egg mixture in. It's important that you get the egg in first to create that kind of base non-stick layer before, because if I just poured the egg into those onions, the whole thing would never come out because there's too much moisture and it just wouldn't work. Okay, so we add our egg mixture in, and you can see the oil has just wrapped around the edges straight away, which means I now confidently know I can start to just layer the onions in, spread them out a little bit. There we go, there's half the onions in first, and then I'm going to take some potato and just one layer, drop that in, and just, if you've got, don't overfill it, and then a few more onions on the top, and just press them down, and there we go. Because this pan is so non-stick, it is just going to slide out once it's cooked, and we'll let it rest for a minute. But what I'm going to do now, can you see the edges there, Emily, are just starting to pull away from the pan?
Yeah.
Because it's so non-stick, it's guaranteed, you know, having a really good non-stick pans is so important because it means you can trust them, you can rely on them, and that's really, really important. So, straight in the oven. I've got this at 180 degrees, probably take 10 minutes. Leave it to rest for 2 before you serve it. Okay, so my tortilla is in the oven baking, going to take about 10 minutes. The chorizo and potato and red wine are smelling absolutely amazing. I cannot emphasize how delicious this smells. I'm going to let that cook away. Now, we're going to make a really beautiful salsa. Now, I met somebody from the Canary Islands once at a food event, and they gave me the most amazing salsa, like a paprika salsa, and it is delicious. Absolutely delicious. Really, really good. And I've kind of broken it down. I've made my own interpretation of it. It is just delicious. First things first, a little bit of garlic. We're just going to slice it. And then I'm going to turn it the other way and run my knife through it again. Careful how much garlic you put in this, because it's going to be raw. If you put too much garlic in, all you will taste is garlic, okay? So start with one, taste the whole thing, leave it for half an hour because the garlic will start to develop and really sort of throw out lots of flavour. So just give it some time, taste it, check it, adjust it if you need to, but easy on the garlic to begin with. Right, sherry vinegar. Again, costly Spanish inspired. 2 or 3 tablespoons of that, and then twice as much olive oil. Okay, lovely. Give that a nice swirl around. Okay, and then we're going to add some cumin seeds. If you don't like cumin, leave it out completely. Don't add ground, because all you will taste is cumin. What you want to be able to do is get little hints of cumin as you eat it, okay? So a teaspoon of that in there, and then some smoked paprika, in that goes. I kind of throw these in, but we've done a more precise recipe for you. It's on the masterclass.co website. It's all there for you, along with all our recipes that we develop. We develop recipes, all the live cooks, and then we create recipes as well. So there's tons of stuff out there. So I'm just swirling that together now. Okay, and then we are going to take some flame roasted preserved peppers. You could do these yourself if you want. Take some. See, the gym's being shut at you. There we go. I got there. I was going to get Emily to open it, but right. These peppers are Spanish peppers. They've been grilled and skinned, and I don't know about you, but I think they're just delicious, and they are always really beautiful. The long Mediterranean bell peppers, and they are just sweet and delicious. And all we're going to do is just chop them all up. They're cooked already. So if you wanted to make these yourself, you would char grill them on a grill pan, whack them in the oven for 10 minutes, put them into a Ziploc bag and let them steam. So the skins could be removed, wash the skins away, so you're only left with the red flesh, and then chop them up yourself if you can't get them. But to be honest, the ones in the shops are really delicious because they're authentic, they come from Spain, they're picked when they're beautifully ripe, and they taste way better, don't they, really?
Yeah, the book's already done for you, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're just going to chop them all up like so. Run your knife through then. I quite like it finely chopped, but if you like it sort of in bigger chunks, no problem. Right, so in it goes into the dressing. There we go. Lovely. Now, when you look at this salsa, and I'll show you in just 1 second, you'll probably think, oh, it's like too wet, it's too much liquid, it's not going to work, it's all sloppy. Bear with me, okay? So let me grab a spoon, let me show you what it looks like at the moment. Can you see that all right, Emily?
Yeah, make it.
All right?
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of liquid there, isn't there? That doesn't look much like a salsa yet, does it? You can't dip in that. Well, that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our parsley and we're going to take our breadcrumbs, okay? And we're going to add, these are fresh breadcrumbs, so they're not the dried ones you buy from a packet. These are fresh, soft breadcrumbs, crust of bread whacked into the food processor and thrown in. Sourdough this actually, because that's what we've got here at the moment. Stir it in, and then you can see, do you see how it's starting to absorb?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it's now carrying the oil and the vinegar and the garlic and the flavours, and now it's starting to look a little bit more like a dip. Okay, I'm just going to add a tiny little bit more, and that will do. Now, fresh flat leaf parsley. Not the curly stuff. We don't like that, do we, John?
Very 70s, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't really here in the 70s, John. Only towards the end.
Thanks for reminding me.
But I do remember as a chef, when I first went on work experience, it was York District Hospital, I was given 4 kilos of curly parsley to chop.
Wow.
It was nice of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bless them.
Yeah.
Took me a long time. So, nice fresh parsley. Now, if you were to make this overnight, like the night before and leave it, it will develop in flavour. It'll be amazing. What I wouldn't do is add the parsley until you're about to serve it. What I would suggest making this the night before, because the breadcrumbs will just sort of soften, almost go a little bit creamy, and it would just, the flavour will be immense. Really, really good. But for the purposes today, we're going to serve it up, because I've got 2 hungry people over there. So we're going to add that. I'll just rinse my hands. Emily's very quiet today. No questions for me. Oh, I see. Right, okay, so let's just mix this together. Beautiful, really, really nice. Have a little taste of it. Make sure that it's right for you. If you like it sharper, add a little more vinegar. If it's too sharp, add a touch more olive oil. Season it, add more garlic, it's entirely up to you. Add more cumin seeds. It is all about getting it right for you.
You've used parsley, chef.
Yeah.
Is there any other herb that
You could use coriander in it, but I think it changes the dynamic and it becomes quite much more about the coriander. But if you like coriander, you could add it because the flavour profile does work. It's just quite a dominant flavour. So I've just added a tiny little bit more olive oil to that.
You know, you like roast grill your peppers?
Yeah.
Can you use like different colours?
You can, yeah. I just like the red. I think it's nice and vibrant. So we're just going to serve this up. It works really nicely on crostinis. You know, I don't have to serve it the way I'm doing it. So I've done half a dish there. And then I'm going to serve it up with manchego. Love manchego. It's a sheep smoked cheese, isn't it? From Spain, I think. If you can't get it, try pecorino cheese. That's very similar. But I actually think it works with cheddar as well.
Yeah.
It's just really good.
Just cheese.
Just cheese, yeah. I do love manchego though. It's got that lovely sort of nutty, salty flavour to it. And traditionally, you know, manchego is just a lovely cheese that you would just serve as tapas because it's an artisan product, it's beautiful, it tastes amazing. So you don't want to kind of do too much to it really. Take the skins away and then all we're going to do is just layer it up like this and we're just going to serve it. There we go. That is our first dish done. There we go. Right, let's go back to the chorizo because that's looking pretty blooming good. Let's just bring that up to the boil. So that is my paprika salsa with manchego, absolutely delicious. Once you've nailed that salsa, you'll have it with all kinds of different things. Good for the barbecue. Keep that one for the summer. Now the chorizo, let me bring this in. Look, you can see, look at these potatoes. They've gone like crimson. They look absolutely amazing.
Show the camera potato.
So there you go, look at the potatoes. They've gone absolutely crimson there. The chorizo's kind of crisped up. I'm gonna have to try it just to really let you know how delicious it is. You won't like this, you two. You will not like this.
It smells fantastic.
So, serve it up. Okay. Potatoes, chorizo. Oh my goodness. Really, really good. Do not leave any of that wine in the pan. Alright? It is just, it's a killer recipe, this one. There we go. Lovely. Right. So let's get our tortilla out. Let's just pop it on there and you can see how it's risen. It's filled the pan, which is what I wanted. Okay? I'm going to get a plate here. And then what we're going to do is just run our knife around the edge just to release it. Make sure that it's coming, which it absolutely is. Let me show you. Look, you want to be able to do that and sort of circulate it. Okay? And then I'm just going to put my plate on top because I know this is the easiest way to turn it out. Okay? I'm not rushing, and Emily thinks this is going to be a disaster now, but I'm quietly confident. There we go. You always serve a tortilla upside down, so the pan side goes up, okay? Always do that. And then we are going to take, this is just delicious, this bit. So we're going to take our smoky, garlicky aioli,
Yeah.
into the middle, and then use the back of your spoon and spread it. Leave about a centimetre from the edge. Alright, John's making good noises now. Okay, and then let's take our tomato salsa. So this is our acidity, this is our rawness, this is our kind of cut. This will cut through everything else and give it balance. And I think balance is what you want. You've got, you know, fresh, vibrant, acidic, you've got the rich cheese, then you've got the deep and dark chorizo, and then you've got this lovely tortilla, which is just a classic, topped with these lovely dressed tomatoes with the sherry vinegar. And there you go. That is how to make a really beautiful 3-course tapas dish. Can you see those all right there, Emily?
Can I bring it back a little bit?
Yeah? Let me pop that on there. Now, if you want the recipes for these, go to masterclass.co. They are all there for you. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you go to the kitchen and create these recipes because I tell you what, I'm really pleased with them. This would be a fantastic Saturday night tapas treat. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on Wednesday.